The trailers that we are showing are, one is of a work we made in 2011 installed it at the Van Abbe Museum. Yeah. And the other trailer is an installation we did at Laznia Gdańsk. So it's like with a movie. So it's not like you're not watching at a work, but you're watching at a preview of an installation, an environment. So it's
now we compose it to a trailer, like a short introduction of the work.
Both of the works are about authority. The first is maybe more about authority sensitiveness, or sensitivity of authority, and the second is more like the puppets of authority. So the subject is very, for the first it's the Second World War. So yeah. and for the second is the colonial relation between the Netherlands and Indonesia. So that's also very specific.
Yeah, but the relationship between the actions and the work and the larger structures is to extend the scale of the body to a geological zone. That's more the sense of the body of the trailer, but now it needs to be done. The first one with the penances and the field of Google Earth. And on that way we try to lending meaning to the human activity. So in order to emphasize the organic nature of the structures.
The funny thing is with Google Earth you cannot really go everywhere. Huh? You know, there are places, for example, you go almost everywhere in Europe, but there are places where you cannot really get inside. You only have pictures.
Yeah, but that's the virtual world.
Yeah, and of course, the virtual world. Yes.
The spots we show in the trailer, a lot of them are also private places.
Yes.
Yeah. So secret places. So you can see it indeed on Google Earth. But you cannot zoom in. Yeah. But yeah, working in public space is constructing scenes that you cannot control, of course.
That also counts for public space, of course. When, for example, when you see the shot of at Hamburg, that was at a military hospital, and we broke in to do the performance there. So it's also you can't go in, but you have to break some rules, and then you can do it. So. Like Google Earth, of course you can't go anywhere, but in reality, in the real, maybe you can go further. The gap that we had in the family of not knowing what our grandfather was up to in the Second World War. So there was nothing, there was this gap in family history. And of course it worked, and then we went on a search, and then we found these 17 points. And then we started to reconstruct, so we searched for books, archives, internet, so what can be. So that's also why we chose this Lacan formula. So this subject is never real, but it's also a combination of real, symbolic and imagination. So it's not like a story, but it's a pilgrimage. It's a pilgrimage for those who fell out of the system. For those like we have today, you can already see it coming. The guys going to Syria.
Yeah, that's why it's very interesting now. It's again, of course.
And how the state reacts. We take their passports. We fuck that shit, man. We did that after World War II. That shit doesn't work.
Rerun of.
That starts with objects, like shots of objects exchanging very fast, and beneath it are questions. And in reality, when you step into the environment, you start with doing a test, and that test you get questions about your psychology, or your mental state, and your answer is not in words but in objects. So you choose one from 5 objects, and after 36 questions, one of the 8 characters that follow the objects is appointed to you, and that is the character you will become in a moment of conflict.
The portraits we show are more like allegorical, like symbolize the white power structures or the mental flush, or how do you call it?
We started like 10 years ago. always with the intention to involve the audience. So not to have the autonomy ourselves, but to create some kind of system again where the audience also has a part to play and becomes a participant instead of a
viewer.
peeping Tom.
With self-organized performances, actions in public space, and afterwards it became slowly developing exhibition concepts and also installing and creating the works at a location itself.
Self-determination, sensitiveness about authority, how do you fit into a group, why do you fall out,
yeah, but also
being human. It's like, yeah, like what I said at the start, so it's like this search of spiritual value. How can we use what is already there to put our value into it, so to change the meaning of what is organized into the more complex situation. That's also what we did at Documenta. We organized the Burghardtstraße. So we changed all the streets in between Friedrichsplatz and Wilhelmshöhe into Burghardtstraße. And then we put leaflets into the audience. Yeah, so that was in public space again, yeah. And then institutions ask you to represent the interventions. And then you go into and you think about that, and it becomes environments, it becomes information. You see what works, what doesn't work. First environment was interpassivity, and then the second we went more interactive with the test. It's trying to get an attachment and a relationship with who's coming, who wants. Those who have interest, you know.
Between the conscious and the unconscious, it's more like a game with yourself. So we build an environment where you can kind of play a role with yourself, having a conflict with what you know and what you don't know, or so creating a gap for creating fantasy or imagination.
At the moment we are thinking about and searching for collaborations to answer or react or respond to questions we had from about 56 curators in 2005 when we asked them give a question for a question. And now we're thinking, well, maybe it's time to go to the places and so to have like this tour, like a rock band or something, living in hotels and that's why we're trying to get some how do you say?
But also in search of the differences which exist between 10 years ago and now in the art world, because it were all art people, people are working in the art scene. What has changed during the last 10 years? And in 2006 we leave the message in a bottle from the museum. Floating through the rivers in Europe, and now we are symbolically trying to answer or reflect the questions they ask at that time.